Morning, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas and a great weekend. Um, it's been a great year for Carolina football. It's even been a more special last 4 weeks. You play Notre Dame to the end. They're number 2 in the country, and it shows that what we could do. And then you have a good effort against Western Carolina, which we're not sure we would have done in some years past. And then you come out and you dominate number 10 Miami and get your first bid in 50 years to the Orange Bowl. So it's really an exciting time. It's incredible for our fan base and for our administration, our coaches and our players to go from 2 wins 2 years ago to New Year's 6 Orange Bowl. It doesn't happen very often. The turnaround has been very quick. Are there some disappointments? Yeah, that's a good thing, because if you lose a game, everybody's mad, and that shows progress. A lot of people have asked me in my time back, what's different in coaching since I left? And one of the things that has come up the last 4 weeks is 4 really good players not playing that are great kids, and 2 of them are captains, and most valuable player on offense, most valuable player on defense, and leading receiver. And you look at that, so you try to figure out what does that mean? Why have things changed so much? Because I had some great players at Texas, and they all played, and it never was even in question. And in trying to figure it all out over the last 4 weeks, what I figured out is that I'm disappointed they're not playing. Fans are disappointed. They're disappointed they're not playing because they've worked so hard. They did so much for us this year. Our team's disappointed they're not playing. The fans or the coaches are disappointed. So what does it really mean when you look at it? What we're supposed to do as coaches is help these young guys improve their lives and put themselves in better positions to have options when they get out. And these coaches have done that. Javonte Williams carried it 43 times when we got here, and he was a short yardage and goal line back. And now he's one of the best backs in the country, and will be a high draft choice. Chaz Surratt never played a snap of linebacker in his life when we got here. Tommy Thigpen's done an unbelievable job with him to have him as a top draft choice for a linebacker. De'Ami Brown, I think he caught 19 passes the first year we were here. And now he's become one of the best wide receivers in the country and has really enhanced his opportunity to make a lot of money in the NFL. And Michael Carter was the one guy I said when I got here, he's number 8 back, because he's really, really good. But now he's stronger. He's protecting the ball better, because Robert Gillespie's done such a fabulous job with those 2 backs that they're much better players now than they were 2 years ago. So if you look at what's happened, our job is to help all of these young players, whether they were recruited by Coach Fedora or brought in by us, and help them have better options when they get through with their playing career here. These 4 young guys have done that. We gave them options. We tried to educate them on what's out there for them, and then it's their job to make decisions that are best for them. That's no different than anybody else on our team. It's no different than you folks. It's no different than me. It's no different than an assistant coach. We may have an assistant coach leave right after the season. And will some people be disappointed? Yeah, but if it's best for he and his family, that's what he's going to do. If you had a better opportunity for you, you would take it. That's what you're going to do. So really and truly, we should be celebrating the success that those 4 guys had, because we wouldn't be in the Orange Bowl without them. They have helped us turn this thing around very, very quickly. Are we built to replace them immediately? We're not in as good a shape right now as we will be a year from now. But we've also learned from this, because this seems to be the norm now. So we're going to have people leaving every year. And since that's the case, we can't be surprised or we can't be disappointed. We just have to be thankful and step up and move forward. So I want to personally thank the 4 guys. They're great young people. They're all going to graduate from UNC. They've never, ever done anything or been in any type of trouble, and they've represented our university and our team with class and with pride. And I'm sure on Saturday night they're going to be missing not being with their teammates. But again, a lot of people get involved with these decisions, and then people have to make the decision that's best for them. I've done that. Our assistant coaches have done it. You all have done it. So it's what's supposed to happen in a program, and should show young recruits that's who we are. That's what we want. We want what's best for every one of them when they come here, and we're not going to be selfish when it comes to the end of their career. It's been such a strange year anyway, but I do think that the decision makers need to look at expanding the playoff, because when you look at guys that are opting out, nobody's opted out of the playoffs. So obviously in decision makers' minds, the players, the families, the third parties, whoever's involved, the playoff is more important now than bowl games. So we've got to look at that. So should we go to 6? Should we go to 8? And studying Texas A&M, they're the same team as Notre Dame. I can see why the committee really struggled on which one should be in the 4th spot. They're the same team. They look exactly alike when you start studying. They're built alike. The huge lines of scrimmage. They run the ball. They use play action. They're very physical against the run at both places. So really and truly, Texas A&M should be in the playoff. It's just that we need to look at expanding it and trying to make it better for them. Next up for us, British walked in right before our staff meeting on Saturday, a couple hours before practice, and said he wasn't going to play. So, Javante, sitting here looking at British, Javante said he wasn't going to play in the game. So we've got to regroup here and figure out now what we do, because we couldn't change Saturday. We didn't practice yesterday. We had a walkthrough. They're off today like a normal week. So we'll have a normal week of practice, but now we've got 3 days to figure out what we're going to do without Javante, and knowing that we didn't have the other 3. So British Brooks and Josh Henderson and Elijah Green are the only 3 backs that we have now that are left, because DJ Jones hurt his foot, or he had a lower body injury, I think Jeremy says I'm supposed to say. So he's out of the game. So then you look at wide receiver. We know the ones that have played. Antoine Green's going to have to step up some. He's had good work, so he'll be involved. And obviously taking Chaz Surratt's place will be Eugene Asante. We've been looking at that for next year anyway. Where it affects us even more is that British is our special teams captain. So we can't afford to get British or Josh or Eugene hurt, because they're 3 of our top special teams players. So we'll probably have to keep them on special teams on a limited basis. So it could affect us there as well. When you look at, again, Diami went from 17 catches as a freshman to 106 the last 2 years. He's done so much for our program. Javante had 43 carries his first year for 224 yards. The last 2 years, he's had 2,073 yards, 24 touchdowns. And Michael Carter had 1,116 yards and 10 touchdowns before we got here. Since we've been here, he's 2,228 yards and 12 touchdowns. But what it also does, it's unexpected opportunities for other players. So we've told players all year that are saying, why aren't I playing more? Why aren't I playing more? Prepare for the day that you're going to get to play. And then here it is. So you better be ready. So on Saturday night, we've got to see who's ready, who's prepared, who's done the things that we ask them to do every day, even though they weren't playing a lot, to get themselves ready for that moment that's unexpected when you're thrown out there. And that's what we'll have on Saturday night. Saturday night's game will be about our fans and the appreciation for not being in a game like this for 50 years. It'll be about our seniors, because they've worked so hard for this moment, and we want them to finish right and take momentum into spring with 22 recruiting. And it'll be about the team that's coming back, because most of the guys that will be playing on Saturday night will be here for the opening game next year. Questions from anyone?
All right, thanks, Coach. If you have a question, please use the raised hand function, and we will get over to you momentarily. Our first question today will come from Andrew Jones.
Hey, Coach, to clarify, you found out about Javante's decision on Saturday. Is that what
Yes.
a few days ago? So he was practicing up to that point. You were preparing to use him up to that point.
Yes, last time you asked me, and I kind of smiled, you said, is everybody going to play in the game? And I said, yes, as far as I know, understanding that every day is a new day now in college sports. So I actually walked in for our 12:30 meeting on Saturday, and Javante was waiting on us and said that he had decided that with his family that he wasn't going to play in the game. So that was 10 minutes before our staff meeting, and then we go straight to the team meeting and then straight to practice. So we've since that time, we've been trying to figure out what adjustments we make without him.
How has Josh Henderson and Elijah Green in particular looked, not just in the last week or so, but just the last couple of months, how they've come along, and what do you like about what they bring to the field?
Well, they both look good. You've seen British, but you've seen all three of them. When you're talking about a young back, Elijah wasn't in an offense that threw the ball very much. He was in a power I offense. So protections and the passing game is something that he's got to continue to grow with. And he's such a great young man. He stays every day after practice and works on catching the ball better. Josh Henderson, you've seen him a lot. He's been around a lot. And we don't practice with Michael, Carter, and Javante a lot in practice after a very physical game on Saturday, as many touches as they get. Most of the time, British and DJ Jones, which we don't have. I wish he was in the game because it'd be fun to watch him, but he's out. He'll be back for spring practice. But most of the time, British and Josh Henderson have been taking the reps, the physical reps on Tuesday and Wednesday. So they've practiced all year. So they know what to do. They're very physical, and they'll carry the most of the load on Saturday night.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. And it gives us a chance to watch them and see about who we are for next year. So the issues that we have with 4 of our top players leaving, we knew 2 were going to leave. We thought the other 2 might stay. But now that we know that all 4 are leaving, this is preparation for the opening game of next year as well.
Okay, our next question will come from CL Brown.
Hi, Mack. How much of the game plan changes because of the opt-outs in terms of, like, do you plug guys into the system that's already there, or is it you have to change based on the personnel now?
So yeah, it's both. We're in a position right now where we're actually rediscussing that, because with Javante, we've got a lot of receivers that have played. It wasn't going to be that different because Javante's a great player. He's one of the best in the country. So he would have just gotten more reps. He would have gotten more touches, and we thought he was excited about that. But now we've got to look at what is best. So actually yesterday we spent all day, and today we'll spend all day. It's one of the reasons we're not practicing today, trying to figure out what we're going to do differently since Javante's not playing.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, we will move over to Ross Martin.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to kind of quickly go back to Javante's decision. Do you know what changed, or did he get new information, or I'm kind of curious on the timeline of how it happened, or if you have any intel on kind of what his decision-making was like from when the first guys opted out to Saturday?
Ross, I really don't know. You'd probably have to ask him. We have not gotten the report back from the NFL on Diami or Javante, so that wasn't it. Okay. Paul Pogge, who works with our agents, and Daryl Moody, who works with our future NFL guys, try to give them as much information from general managers and coaches as they can across the NFL. And then what we do is we just turn it over to them and let them go. And it seems to me that someone has advised them not to play in the ball game because they had such great games against Miami, and they really don't need to show themselves anymore, and there's a possibility they could get hurt. So I would think that that's probably been involved with the family decision, making more than anything else. But you would have to ask them. All I've said is they said they weren't going to play, and I've just said thank you for all your effort and all you've done for us, and good luck, and we'll help you with the draft, we'll help you with the combine, we'll help you in any way we can. And usually if I say, what changed or something, it's usually, oh, just the family and I just decided that this was best. So,
Okay.
and it's not my place to make them feel pressured that I asked more than that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Greg Barnes.
Good morning, Mack. You
morning.
mentioned similarities between A&M and Notre Dame. What are some lessons learned from that Notre Dame game that are applicable this weekend?
The biggest thing, Greg, I think, is that Mike Elko is very good friends with Clark Lee, and we didn't move the ball at all the second half, so we better study the second half of the Notre Dame defensive game, because that's what we're going to see, because Mike Elko is a really good coach. So I think that's the biggest thing is they were more physical than we were with their front seven and our front seven the second half. Now we've got to figure out who we are, because we're going to have a different personality than we did with those three players that we've lost. But we've got to be physical at the line of scrimmage to have a chance in this game, because A&M, like Notre Dame, is huge and they're very physical. Both teams try to keep the ball. They totally dominate time of possession. And then they pound you with a big back and then use play action. And Kellen Mond is very much like Ian Book. He's a game manager. He's been around a long time. He's not going to make mistakes. He's going to get the ball to the right players. Like Notre Dame, A&M has a great tight end. So it's just been funny to look and see how much those teams look like bookends when we're studying them. You can understand defensively because the Clark Lee and Mike are buddies and they're on the same page. But offensively, they're very, very similar. They're both built like big pro football teams.
And following the Miami game, clearly probably the best game your team has played since you've been back. Have you seen that continuation of that confidence and that effort level in the practices since?
I have. Obviously there's been some distractions with our guys that aren't playing. So and then we thought we were there, and then there's another change. So it's been a little bit disjointed, trying to figure it all out. And we thought we had it, and now we're rebooting as such. But the guys know what we have to do to win football games now, and they understand that. The question the guy asked 2 years ago, how do you win? They get it. They know what we have to do to win, and they know that this is going to be a huge challenge. But they've also probably been a little offended that people are taken back that we've lost some players and they don't think there's good ones on the team. So they've got a little chip on their shoulder right now saying, we still got some scholarship players here, man. Come on now. So that's a good thing for them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Luke Buxton.
Hey, Mac, good morning. I'm curious,
morning.
you mentioned how this is kind of a new trend in college football. You didn't have to deal with it in the past, and now it's coming up. By nature of that, is there going to be things that you put in place moving forward? So at the beginning of the season, maybe you have a conversation, or you have a maybe set of guidelines of when you should opt out, or kind of how that decision would look, and will you start planning for these type of things? Kind of what does the future look like for you and planning for opt-outs?
Luke, we actually had that conversation as a staff after Javonte left. I don't think there's anything we can do differently. I think we prepared this just exactly like we would have anyway. I think what we've got to do is prepare for guys to go and not be surprised. And because they're going to go, we're recruiting great players, and those players are going to want to go to the NFL in 3 years if they can. So our job should be to prepare them the best we can for the next phase of their life, try to help them get in a position to have their degree with summer school in 2.5 to 3 years, and then expect them to leave more than be surprised, because I think that's going to be the norm more than not now. It just looks like it to me. And even if you expand the playoffs, there'll be some point where people are going to start not playing in the playoffs because of the amount of money that's available now to pro football players. And I was an assistant on a team that talked a young man out of going to the NFL at one time, and he came back and was miserable and had an awful year. So I would never try to talk a young man into staying. That's not our place. It was funny, Natron Means came into my office. He was the only guy that we had go out early here. And after his junior year, he came into my office and he said, "How much money do you think I'll make?" And at that time, I said, "Well, you're going to get a $50,000 bonus." And he said, "Oh my gosh." He said, "I was going to leave if it was 5,000. He said, "It was 50. Man, I'm out of here." And then after maybe the 12th game, the 14th game, he's with San Diego. He's playing great. They're getting ready to go to a Super Bowl. And he calls and says, "I'm worn out, man. I'm just so tired." So I think a process will happen over time where as we get more guys that go to the NFL, they're going to educate the players about it's harder than you think it is. And it's not just for everybody. And you need to be ready to make it. And your second contract, you probably make more money than you do your first in most cases. And that's what happened here over time. Our guys would educate the guys and fewer started leaving the longer they would go. Even the Brian Simmons and the Greg Ellis's and those type guys. Dre Bly stayed for his last year. And the same thing happened at Texas. Until Vince Young, we really didn't have many go out early, and then we had a couple after that. But I think it's a process, Luke, over time, where they all have to learn about what this process is like. And you don't get your last year in college back. You don't get your last game in college back. And I know at 40 years old, these guys are going to be proud of that Orange Bowl ring sitting on their desk. So that's part of this process. And that's what we have to look at. You know, I made a decision 2 years ago. I'm sitting there at ESPN. I'm having a blast and things are fun. I get this call. I had to make a decision. But I did what I thought was best for Sally and I emotionally because we wanted to do this one more time. So again, should ESPN be mad at me? I got them left one day and left them short that weekend. I mean, it's so I get it. But I think we all have to stop a minute and think. We all have critical decisions to make in our life. None of them are easy if we have options. And these four young guys have put themselves in a position to have options. And I think that's a good thing.
Thanks, Matt.
All right.
Thank you. And I think Luke, I'm sorry, Luke, it'll probably hurt us Saturday night, but it'll help us long term because players on the team understand the trust and recruits understand the trust and the fact that these four are in this much better position 2 years from the time that we got here, it'll pay dividends in the end. Just doesn't seem like that right now.
All right. Our next question comes from Gregory Hall.
Hey, Mack. Last year, the team was obviously excited about going to a bowl game for the first time in some years, and they got to experience the Military Bowl and the trip to the Capitol building and all of that. I was just curious the difference between the energy last year and this year. The getting to a bowl game was expected. Outside of the distractions, what's kind of the differences as they're getting excited about a larger bowl game with the Orange Bowl compared to last year?
Greg, it's a great question. We had this discussion in the staff room the other day. We had an absolute blast at the Military Bowl. It was perfect for us. The guys hadn't been to a bowl game in a couple of years. It was right after Christmas. I was saying we had a 12 days of Christmas that Joe Hayden, one of our assistants, set up for all the players to sing at Christmas dinner, and different positions would have different parts. And I saw the video last night, and they were screaming at their lungs and having an absolute blast on Christmas in DC. And the city's wonderful, and there weren't many people there. I don't think we could ever have a better experience than we had last year. And I saw the Military Bowl was canceled the other day, and I really hate that because it was fun. And we loved it and enjoyed it. This one, the energy's been just as good. Today, we're giving our guys an opportunity to do some things away from football if they want to and try to help them. So we're trying to give them some events here, understanding COVID's very different and you're limited on what you can do. But the energy level, the excitement is just the same. I was going to take our team down Friday night like an away game and spend the night, play the game, and come on home. And the guys asked if we could go down Thursday. So we're actually going to go down Thursday afternoon, and we'll be there Thursday night. They're off Friday morning because they would be off here Friday morning. So they'll have an opportunity to walk on the beach and look around a little bit. We're in Fort Lauderdale. We're not in Miami. But New Year's Eve, they're going to be in bed at 11 o'clock at night because they got to prepare for a game 2 days later. So it's very, very different, but I've got to give these kids credit. I've given John Swafford and Kevin Gustowitz and Bubba credit for letting us play. But these kids have been absolutely incredible. And when you start asking people who's going to take the vaccine, half of them raise their hand, half do not. When you ask people who's serious about COVID and who's not worried about it, half the room raises their hands and half is not. So for this team and this staff to hang together and to have played 11 games and getting ready to go to a bowl game is just absolutely incredible to me that they've handled all this stuff, and they've handled it well. We've got some guys that are transferring, some guys that are undergraduates, some guys that are graduates. They're helping us try to beat A&M. They are busting their tail. We're on the phone trying to help them get places to go if they don't feel like they're playing enough or want to stay. This has probably been the best year of relationships that I've ever had with a football team. These guys have just been transparent. They'll say anything. They laugh. They cut up. When we've had our serious moments, we've had to step up and take care of it. When we've had our losses, they've responded. They get it. They understand when you show them the facts and why we lost and we should have done better, and they get it. So this has been a wonderful year, and this bowl game is going to be the same. They're going to take a year where a lot of teams are opting out. A lot of teams have refused to play in bowl games that are eligible, and they understand this is different. They don't care. They're practicing hard. They're having fun, and we'll be shorthanded on Saturday night, but they're going to play hard.
And with the departures of Michael and Chaz, who stepped up in practice in those leadership roles?
Gimmel has been one of the best leaders on our team, period. So Jeremiah would be a guy. He and Sam and British will be the three captains that will still go out before the game and represent our team. They'll all three be back next year. And so those three guys have taken that leadership role more than anybody else. Offensive line's still there. You know, that it'll be intact for next year, exactly the same. We've got to continue to build a young offensive line, but nothing changes in that offensive line, and some of them won't change for 2 years. So we're in a great spot there. The seniors that are still playing are busting their tail. They want to finish this thing right. So it's the defensive line is all young, except for Tamon Fox. Everybody else is back. Eugene Asante will have a handful because of the offense that A&M plays. They're going to run right at him, and he hadn't played very much. And I mean, they're fully aware Chaz won't be playing, but good for him. We'll get to know who he is going into spring practice, and we'll get to we'll know more about this team after this game, about what we've got to do to continue to grow next fall and this spring than we do right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our final question this morning will come from Mark Armstrong.
Mack, I apologize if this information is already out there. I just haven't seen it. Are any of the guys who opted out, are they going to be around the team at the bowl game or down there? Or do you know if they're traveling to be with their team to watch and cheer them on?
Mark, when you opt out, you basically sign with an agent and go start working out. I mean, that's the reason to start working on your next level faster than you normally would. So we'll stay in touch with them. We'll try to help them with their agents. We'll try to help them with the combine, if there's a combine, with the Senior Bowl, if there's a Senior Bowl. I think Michael's still planning on playing in it. Not sure about Chaz. But we will not cut off ties with them. But our rule is if you opt out, you're no longer part of the team. So no, they will not be going to the bowl. And by rule, we can't even pay their way to the bowl. The NCAA, their eligibility is up the minute they sign with an agent.